Okay, I've picked up most of my parts there at the border on Sumas there, Abbotsford. Um, got my cylinder, piston rings. I've got my valve. Got my valves. Yeah, my valve. I put them in right now. I gotta lap them still. I got the springs with it and all, and the keepers and whatnot. Also got the rocker arms. And let's see, what else did I get? Oh yes, my camshaft. So the only thing really left for me to get is the pointy condenser and a carburetor kit, a complete carburetor kit. So in the meantime, I'm gonna start putting the heads on and whatnot. So the first thing you need to do, brand new cylinder, you gotta cross hatch it, which I don't know if you can see inside here, which I've done. Now what I find has worked for this, like if you go out and rent a crosshatch tool or honing tool, you're not going to find one that's small enough. You're like an automotive one, it's too big. But what you can do, and you can buy, it's fairly inexpensive, is you can buy one that's meant to clean up inside brake calipers. The cylinder and the brake calipers, it'll do the same thing. It's got honing stones in it, so, and it's small enough it'll fit in here. So anyway, mine's done, and my next step now is to put the rings on. So this kit here came with basically 2 thin rings, oil ring, and 2 compression rings. And the way it works is first one you put in is your oil ring. It's like a wavy little thing, and you line up the notch where it separates to around the wrist pin, and then you've got 2 thin ones. One goes in the bottom, one goes on top, here and here. I'm not too sure if you guys can see that. And you line up the notches from there. You put one here and one on this side. And then you got your compression rings. The dark one, it's almost black, goes in the middle. You got to make sure the number or the letter that's stamped on the ring is facing up. So right here, up. And the top ring is the one that's going to be either kind of clear, like a white, I guess, or something like that, or silver. And that's the top ring. And the same thing with this one. You got to put the R up top. Okay. For me, there was an R. It could be a number for you or a T or something like that. Not too sure if you can see it on mine, but it's right here in the corner. Okay, for aligning the gaps, so on the wavy ring in the center, what I do is I line up where it gaps right here, right across from the wrist pin. And then for the thin ring that's in the bottom, I line up the notch for it at around, right here on this side, this little pin, this little hole right here, I line up the gap to that. This gives me a good reference point. And then for the top ring, on top of the wavy one, I line up the gap on this side. Now for the compression rings, what you do, now this works for mine because mine's got the dome and it's got the cutouts on it, these right here. Okay, generally the bigger cutout is the intake side of the piston. Okay, so for me it would be right here. So you can see here I've got the piston on the connecting rod. So one of the things you need to remember is on top of your piston there'll be an arrow. That arrow should point down. Okay, and I've got all my gaps, ring gaps where they should be, and I'm just going to put the gasket on here and oil this up a little bit and then slide the cylinder right over top. Okay, I got the cylinder head on. It's not very difficult. Just compress the rings with your hands. You should be able to slide this right on. I've also got my chain on, timing chain, right here. One thing you need to remember is you need to put this the right timing, top dead center. So you get your little dowel pin right here. Basically turn this until this is facing up. Also, to make sure you've got the right spot, just turn it until the cylinder is at its highest peak. So if I was to turn it this way, see it's starting to go down. If I turn it this way, it goes up. If I keep turning, it goes down. So top dead center is right there. That's where you want it at. So next now is going to be lapping the valves. Okay, I just got done lapping my valves so that the valves will seat properly. I didn't film that because it's just a painful experience. So anybody's ever lapped valves will know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, so it's all done. It's all sealed properly. They're sealing properly. One of the things I do to make sure, some people will do is they on the rims right here on the seat, they put this dye and let it dry, and they put it on the valves also, on the seat valve along here. And when they put them in and they start grinding with the grinding compound, they'll check once in a while to see how much of the dye is left, and that tells them whether or not they're getting good contact. I don't do it that way. I just put the compound on the valves and I grind away. And once in a while I'll take it out, clean it all up, and then I'll take a flashlight and put it into the port of which one I'm working on. Like for example, the exhaust valve right here. What I'll do is I'll take a really good flashlight and I'll put it into the exhaust side, right, on the muffler side. And I'll turn the lights out, and so it's nice and dark. Put the flashlight in here, and if I see any light whatsoever, then it's not sealing properly. And so you gotta keep on grinding. So that's the way I do it. So. Okay, I got my valves in. Got the keepers in there. Valves are in. Next step will be to put the cam and the rocker arms. Now, for some of you guys who've never done these, not too difficult to take them out. It's putting them back in. Those little keepers are little bastards from hell. They're a bit of a pain in the ass. Now you can get a special tool to compress the valve spring to remove the keepers. Go ahead and you can buy the tool. I haven't found anything I like yet, so instead I've made my own. And what I've done is this here. As you can tell, it's just a block of wood and I carved it. Made kind of like an H or whatever, carved out the middle. And basically what it is that you just put it in here. See if I can show you guys. Put it inside here. Put your palm right here and press down real hard. And with your other hand, take a magnet and you can take out the keepers and then release it, and then you can take your springs out and whatnot. Now to put it back in, you can use the same tool, but also you need one of these C-clamps. Get one that's big enough here that it can basically do around the engine. So what you do is you put the round part of your C-clamp right against the valve, right here. And then the other end will go basically above, right here. Take this, put it on the valve, put the C-clamp right over top like this, right, and tighten it up, and it just presses down, and then you'll be able to put your keepers in. So that's my trick in a way. It's not original. I did steal it from somebody else, the idea, somebody else on YouTube. Can't remember quite who it was, but I thought it was a good idea, and it's worked well for me throughout the years. Okay, as you can tell, I've got most of the engine together. So I get my timing chain in, and I've got my tensioner. Got the piston and cylinder, of course, and there's a whole previous video there shows how you're supposed to line up the rings. And anyway, I've got the cam in there and the rockers. I've just got done adjusting the valves. It's a good time to do it right now. You just gotta make sure you're at top dead center, which you should be if you're, when you're timing it, right? So I've put the chain on. I've lined up the keyway right here for up this way, right? And basically that's top dead center. And on the cam gear, there's a 0 right there, and you gotta make sure that's up top. So it lines all the way down. That's top dead center. So while you're there, you may as well adjust your tappets. So the book here for me says to set it at 0.002 inches with a feeler gauge, and I set mine at 0.003. Reason being is I don't have a feeler gauge for 0.002. I've got one for 0.003, and it's totally acceptable. I've done it on the other bikes, and it's fine. So that's all done. Next step now will be to put the covers on, and then cover on this side, both sides here, and then start putting in the plate here, the stator and all that stuff, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so got the heads are on and torqued. Now, according to the manual, just a blind nut, I guess, these ones right here, goes on this side. So if the engine's in its position, carburetor up here, exhaust down below, face the engine. So facing the engine, bottom right side is the regular nut with a regular sealing washer, and the rest of them are acorn nuts. And then on this one here, left side bottom, I guess the copper one goes down below that sealing nut. The sealing washer is the copper one. And why? I have no idea. I really don't. So I'm just following the manual on that part. So my next step here will be to put the plate on, stator plate. So here it is, and I just got to replace the seal. And I've already replaced this one in here that goes around right here. Don't forget that one. You got this one, and then pops in, and then you've also got the little seals here that go right here for the so that it won't weep oil from behind the plate for the bolts. You got to put those on also. There's one here and there's one up top here. And don't forget those ones before you put your plate in.